how much can Witten actually help the Dallas Cowboys? I think you got a guy here who really wants to know your thoughts.
Right. So I've been here.
No,
right?
I'm just going to tell you something. Our friendship, our TV relationship is on the table for this. Because sometimes we like to massage things. I just want to see if Bart Scott is going to keep it real or he getting ready to turn into this television. Let's do this.
Really? Listen, I've been here, right? So I retired at 32, and I stepped off, and I stepped right into not a big job. I started on Tops, and then I had all plans to really allow my surgery to heal. Had just had a kid, didn't want to move and displace him. And I had all indications on going back and playing my second year.
So you would play. Your plan was at 32 retire, really temporarily stop for a year, and then miss one season and come back. That was the plan.
And come back, and then I got the call, and CBS said, "Hey, do you want to seat at the big table?"
Right.
And it was a tough decision, right? Because everybody tells you that you might want to make the decision and make that smooth transition to another career, and the hardest year is the first year because you're watching guys out there play, and you're like, man, I still can play. But what happens is, and I'm sure what happened to Witten is, he started getting criticized, and you don't realize that people see us sitting here, and they just see me and Cris sitting here, and they think we just make this up, we just come freelance. It's a lot of work put in this job. I had to get a vocal coach, learn how to project to the jib, all this kind of stuff. And when you get criticized, and I'm sure he's always been successful. He's been protected down in Dallas, and he's never been criticized. So now he's getting criticized on a big job, people saying he don't deserve it, and he's hearing the criticism, and he started itching and saying, you know what, I think I still can play. And what happened to me my first year is my body started to heal up. Inflammation started to leave the hands. I could put my wedding ring back on, all that type of stuff. And you get in the best shape of your life. Because usually what happens during the season is you play, and then you start getting injured so you can't lift. You start lifting for a whole year. You start doing Pilates. You start seeing your abs again. And you're like, you know what? I think I could do this.
Your body decompresses from all the years of training, year in, year out, not taking time off. So there's a process where your body feels almost relieved. That's a true adjustment. You have a whole new body.
Now in his head, he didn't shut the clock off in his head. Right? So it becomes a point, usually like year 2 or 3, you're like, I'm done. It's over. But, the fact that he was criticized, he's seeing these guys say, oh, they look like a young team that may be able to go somewhere. Let me hitch myself to the wagon. Now, let me get to the question that you really want to ask me. Can he still play? I think he can still play at the level that he played at potentially his last season. And what was that? I heard you speaking earlier, and you said about 600 yards. It's not about all 600 yards aren't created equal. And Beasley's probably not going to be back because he criticized saying that he didn't get the ball and how it was designed. So he's probably not coming back. So now what do they need? They need a chain mover. And Witten may not be able to separate. He never had been able to separate. But I remember playing against Tony Gonzalez late in his career, and he couldn't run either. But what he could do is he could position himself and lean to you and be able to do those little press outs, sit down, be a safety blanket, and move the chain.
Yeah, even if that's true about Tony Gonzalez, though, he was a red zone threat.
Right.
And even when he couldn't run, he was still a hell of a lot faster than Witten.
Yeah, he still could jump, but I go back to my childhood rival in Antonio Gates, who hasn't been able to run for about 5 years. He's still finding ways how to get open, and he helped that Chargers team last year.
What, he have 350 yards though last year?
Right, but it's not about it. It's about he picked up pivotal first downs. He was a security blanket that Phillip Rivers knew he can go to. So now Dak Prescott has a security blanket that he can throw the ball to.
The reason why Antonio Gates is he might be your friend and everything. That's the reason why
Hunter
you make
Henry got hurt.
Okay, but yes, they were in crisis.
Right.
That's why you bring back a guy. And typically, if you do this, what you do is you hurt the growth of the other young players. I'm just going to tell you, for $3 million, I can go out and get me a couple guys that play special teams and run through something, will hit something. Yeah. Some guys, I can go get me a couple speed guys for that type of money. So I'm not in the charity.
But you can't count on him in the pivotal moments. You know one thing he's going to do, he's going to catch the ball. He has a catch rate. You have to still respect him.
You know one thing when Jason Witten comes on the field, what everyone else in the stadium should know, especially from the defense?
Pass.
They ain't getting ready to run the ball because he is not a good blocker. People say, oh, man, he's a good blocker. No, he's not. Now, if you want to talk about his leadership, the only thing he does on an elite level, and we keeping this 100%, is a leader. He is a good dude. But at some point, your leadership, it loses its punch because You haven't been great when Zeke was playing. You haven't been great when Dak was playing. Those guys should be the leader of the Dallas Cowboys now.
Do you want Jason Witten to come back and be your leader, or do you want, if you're going to pay Dak Prescott, maybe Dak Prescott should be your leader?
It's time to turn the page,
But he doesn't have to be your leader. He just has to be a guy. Listen, Terrell Suggs is going to be up for contract again, right? We know he's not the player that he used to be. But they're going to want to bring him back because you still have to, it's still a threat. You know, what older players...
T-Sizzle brings a type of attitude that the Baltimore young players need to know.
But do they need to know it even now that they have C.J. Mosley who can pass that knowledge on?
I just don't believe that's a good comparison because he can still rush the passer.
So go to Gates. So Gates is a good comparison, right? 300 yards, maybe. You know, if he would have been there at the beginning of the season.
He's not playing in the league if we don't get those injuries.
But Witten's going to play maybe 30 to 40% of the snaps. He's not going to get many snaps, right? But it's going to be key pivotal moments, key formations, and he can teach those young guys how to play. I remember playing with Jason Taylor, right, at the end of his career. And he was just a situational type of guy that comes in. And you know what? Older players every once in a while can turn the clock back and get you a big game.
Okay, so that last part, I agree with you. That we saw it from Dwayne Wade 2 nights ago. Yeah. Dwayne Wade going to have that great moment. And maybe Witten will have a great moment. But here are what I think are undeniable facts. If his broadcast season went better, he's not doing this.
Of course not.
If the Dallas Cowboys are not, for good or for bad, one of the most loyal organizations in football when it comes to guys that have worn that star proudly, he's not back. There are 32 teams in the league. There was 31 of them that would not be interested in paying him $3.5 million.
That's peanuts, though, in today's. The salary cap may go up to $195
Okay, but I understand
but that's real money.
But it's money that you can't spend elsewhere, even if it's not a lot of money. And lastly, and those were facts, this is an opinion. Man, I'm very curious about what Dak and Zeke's response to this was. If they were ready for the team to be turned over to them. I'll bring it up again, like if C, instead of joining, because you also walked away and then came back, you didn't miss a whole year, but you missed the beginning of the season, came back with the Dolphins.
Yes.
If the year after that, you're like, you know what, I'm going back to the Vikings. I'm guessing Dante and Randy wouldn't have been thrilled.
No.
Even if you had good relationships with them. They were ready for their time.
It still can be their time. At some point, Ray Lewis passed the torch over to Ed Reed. Now, he still was the vocal leader. He still was the one that you saw in the soundbite. But Ed Reed was the guy that everybody followed.
Bro. And I told Ray this. Man, Ray was horrible there at the end. Okay? Ray had the deer antler spray.
It's the SWAT stickers.
Ray was a bad football player. He put it together for that last playoff
for that last run. He got it together for the run, and that's
this
what I'm saying.
Dude can't run, man.
But if they get in the playoffs, he may be able to turn the clock back.
I'm going to hold on.
No, stop. Let me tell you guys something. Do you know who's coaching Dallas Cowboys? You know who their offensive coordinator is?
Jason Garrett.
No.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore. Imagine Kellen Moore, his first job in the NFL. Jason Witten is the tight end. All right? You know who the quarterback coach is? John Kitna. I don't know Jason Witten like this, but let me tell you, Cris Carter. If them dudes is coaching the football, I'm getting ready to get the football, and I'm getting ready to tell them that. All right? If you think if we thought Aaron Rodgers is going to have a hard time listening to the head coach, how is Jason Witten listening to these dudes, man? And so that is a problem inside of that Dallas that they just created because Jerry's trying to take care of one of his guys.
And I'm going to use the 4 names that you used as an example of where it has potentially worked. Ray Lewis, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Jason Taylor, Jason Witten. One of these names is not like the other. Those are 4 all-timer, no doubt, Hall of Fame, great
Jason
players.
Witten's not a Hall of Fame.
That's a separate discussion, but even if he is not those guys.
You might be invited back to discuss it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.